Hi guys, it's Carly and I'm back with the fourth update for Petri. This one I think we do a full lunging session and I show pretty much all of it. It felt like it was a really good session. It felt like he was just in the flow. We were both just in that moment working. So I'm not sure I'll say too much on this session. But it felt like we were getting to quite a good place, and since then he's been about in this frame of mind and posture for most of his work, so it's been really happy with him. And like I started out the update saying, he's mostly semi-retired now, so this is probably pretty much going to be what his work consists of. Coming in, doing a little bit of walk work, maybe some trot work if he looks good or looks like he needs it. A moment or two of canter if it shows up, but that's probably going to be about it. And it's mostly at this point to just keep him healthy, as he's a little bit older and he's had a injury that I'm not quite sure will stand up to full work. So super happy with him, how he's showing here. He's a lot more active than the other updates. He was way more able to move a little bit more freely from the start with this. And he really just kind of stays in that overall good posture from the start. It's not quite as low here as I'd like to see him, but he does stretch down quite well a little bit later. And what I liked about it more so than the length or the depth of neck, like the depth of stretch to the ground that I was getting, here he was way more willing to have his nose a little bit more poked out, so he wasn't having that tendency to suck his neck back and shorten it into his body. His neck was way longer, and then that gave that nice kind of range of motion from the left to the right side, that wiggle they get through their body when their nose is out in front of them. So here it gets really quite good. And it feels really good and connected, and it still has enough activity. When he stretches down, the activity isn't suffering as much as it was in the first couple sessions. And we've also got quite a nice lens flare going on. That is one interesting thing with the cameras. You never quite, with the solo shot cameras, you never quite see the shot you're going to get until you look at it on your computer after. But here, just switching sides, asking him to actually go out to the rail, make a little bit bigger circle. And here he's also, if you kind of notice the difference between the first couple sessions, he's looking a lot more even from the left to right side, and especially being able to switch from the left to the right, he stays quite consistent. So here, not quite as deep a stretch as I'd ideally be looking for, but he's out really long in his neck, and his nose is kind of poked out long, which is giving his body a lot of balance. And he's walking really rhythmical. That's what it felt like in person that day. It felt like it was really just in rhythm. We were all kind of in motion together, and it felt really good that way. There's a deeper stretch, really good there. And there again, he stays really good. And I remember feeling that really good moment in the walk, and then seeing if I could just kind of bounce the energy up enough to get a trot. And me too, he comes up a bit and comes up and down. It's a pretty soft, quiet trot, but not looking for a ton more than that right now. There, he slows down, but there, stretch. So up and down, inconsistent, but definitely a good enough base to work with. And I think I keep it to a maximum of maybe 5 to 6 circles per side, because this round pen isn't, it's not super tiny, but it's not super big either, so it's not the biggest circle that he's working on. And there, looks really good. He's got enough stretch in his body that he can get a little bit of a bend for that size circle. And he comes down into that walk really nice. He doesn't invert, doesn't stiffen, doesn't brace, just kind of softens down into it. And then the walk after is really good. And they're really good again. Footing is a little deeper there, so sometimes when he gets stuck on the rail, he kind of looks a little bit sticky, stuck in the footing, but it's quite deep on that one side. And the walk just looks really good and consistent now. I really like that feel, how he's got there. And then just switching off to the left side now. Again, a similar frame. He's really getting a lot more consistent in the walk, staying in that lower, longer frame. A little bit slower, a little bit less activity on this side. And I got ahead of him there a little bit. I looked like I was fiddling with the whip and the end of the lunge whip there, or the lunge line. And here he looks good. He's not quite as long as he could be, but he's really quite in the zone, and I was really quite happy. There, looks good. Comes up a bit as I ask him for the trot. That one he stiffened into a little bit more. You can see he wants to bend to the outside on this side, this circle, more than he does on the other side. So he's got a little bit more brace, a little bit more stabby action on that shoulder, but softens into it in a circle. And then once he softened into that and released his neck, I can ask for a little bit more activity, just to kind of push him into a little bit. And there you can see when I did push him into it, he came up and his nose came back rather than going out and forward with that. So I backed off for a moment, and I think I ask again a little bit. Yeah, and I didn't get too much there, and I think we might actually see if we get a canter on this side for a couple steps, just to get that activity going forward rather than his first thought to kind of ball up in his body where his nose comes in and his neck shortens. Yeah, so here I ask for the canter a bit. And the canter with the purpose of only getting a better trot. I'm not cantering to get a good canter, although his canter isn't, I mean, it's not great, but it's not the worst there either. And then we get a little bit more activity at the trot, and I can push him on without him sucking back into himself. And there, looks better. Not quite released all the way. There we go, starting more there. And there. And he gets a little bracy there as he comes down into the walk again, but not too bad. So definitely the right side was better this day. But they all have their side, their one side, and that's totally fine. He was able to work through it and did a really good job. So back into the walk, and the walk looks really quite good. And then we shorten into a little bit of a shorter line, and I keep the lunge line on, but just do a little bit of shoulder in and a little bit of leg yield. So here, just pushing him out off the inside, making sure that you get both the inside, or the front and hind foot, and then asking for a little bit of shoulder in through there, making sure not to take too much on the lunge line or the inside rein so you don't get them bending around you, but you actually kind of get them stepping up and through under their belly. So here's a little bit better angle. Oh, and I stopped. Missed a good angle on that one. So there's a really nice stretch. So he finished with a really nice stretch after doing that for half a circle. So that's fantastic. It means it's coming through his body and it's doing the right things. So that's exactly what you want to see. So I just stop and switch sides and utilize that switching sides to make that, to get the shoulder to move off and away from me. And there he stepped off good. And then I think we'll do a little bit more this side. There's a really nice stretch. Really good, really connected, really long. And there's good. A little bit of shoulder in, you can kind of see as we come around the corner and into a leg yield to meet up with the rail, and I let him release. So really good. I was really happy with him. He tries hard and he was really good. So thanks for watching, and I hope you guys got something out of it. We'll see you soon.